Okay, we are live, and I see that we have lots of people joining. I love to see when the participant little window just keeps climbing. You know, it's like that little ticker talk thing at the very bottom. So I'm going to start by just giving a couple of housekeeping notes for everybody who's just jumping in. I'm Susan Bauer. I'm your Director of Training, and I have the privilege of hosting this webinar today. So as you're hopping in, what I would love for you to do is in the chat, yes, people are doing this already. Tell me who you are, where you're coming in from, and are you new to multi-host partying? Okay, we want to see who are the newbies. Were you in part of the revamp group already? You got a couple under your belt. We're going to ask you to probably chime in today and help some people in the chat if they have questions. Now, what I want to tell everyone is if you are brand new and you have never done a Facebook party before, this may not be for you. This is really something, once you know how to do a Facebook party, so please don't ask like, how do I set up a group? How do I, like some of those basic things. We have lots of training. And Ashley Morgan is going to be monitoring the chat, so she'll give you directions on where you can find things. But this is really, if you've already mastered a Facebook party, then maybe you want to hop into this. The other thing is, if you have questions, because we're hoping to open it up for a few questions at the end. If you have questions, put them in the Q&A. But if you're in chat, and this is really important, if you're in chat, this is a webinar, and you have to actually click all panelists and all attendees. There's a little button that you click, and then you get to talk to everybody. You get to chat with everybody who's on. And if you don't, then you're really just chatting with me and Ashley. And that's great, but we would really like for you to all be able to have a conversation too. So I'm going to get started. Lindsay Mercer is dashing off to take her kids to her mom's house. And so she's going to be joining us in just a second. And so what I want to do first is maybe just talk about what is a multi-host party, and then I'll introduce our panelists. Okay, so it takes the success of what you're doing already when you have one host and one Facebook party, and it multiplies it because you're having multiple hosts in one party. So you're maximizing your time. Hosts are loving this format. That's what we're hearing. Our panelists will tell you that. And whether you have 2 or 20 guests, like an individual host, everybody has fun because there's so much interaction and fun. So it's a great optional party type. If you have more parties than you have time, it's a great way to boost your calendar. Hosts love it. Again, just make sure if this is your first party, you may not want to do a multi-host party. Okay, so with that, I'm going to introduce our panels now so we can get underway. So first up, we have team coordinator, Susie McLevitz. Is that close? Okay, you can unmute, Susie.
It's my first time doing this. This can be fun. Yeah, you're close, McLevitz.
Okay, good. And Senior Executive Sales Leader, Rose Cruz. That was easy, and I can say the last one too. Vice President Sales Leader, Lindsay Mercer. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, so this webinar is not about how to do a multi-host party. So if you're thinking, I'm going to get on, I'm going to learn how to do a multi-host party, I'm going to have one tonight, and I'm just going to rock this. That's not what this is about. We will have a multi-host party coaching guide.
Susan,
Yeah?
your mic is, I think your mic is bad. Can you try to adjust something?
Oh, great. Am I underwater?
Yeah.
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 No, this happened during a Facebook Live. Not good. Let me try something. No?
We can hear you a little bit. Try again. You're just quieter, I think.
Is this any better?
Way better. Yay. Okay, keep going.
Okay, I fixed it. So, all right, I won't start over again, but for those of you who heard me or didn't hear me and were trying not to, thinking, oh my God, is the whole thing gonna be like this? This is the multi-host party webinar. It's not to teach you how to have a multi-host party. So if that's what you're thinking, you can go back to doing your homeschooling, project with your kids or whatever. That's not what this is about, right? And we all know, if you are homeschooling moms, how many out there are homeschooling moms, that you are working on projects right now, right? It's not just your kids. I remember that. Mine are grown, but boy, that diorama looked good when they brought it into school. But if you want to learn more, like, why would I want to hold one? What are the really important parts of it? And we're going to talk about the 2 elements that really make it a success, and we're going to delve into those. So if you want to learn how to have the party, you're going to want to check out the outline when we're done. And also, I know that a lot of you have been part of a Facebook group. We'll talk a little bit about that too, but we're going to be sending you, we were hoping to get it in before, but we didn't. So we're going to be sending that to you after this webinar, or Ashley will actually be putting it in the, I think in the chat box. So in case you didn't hear me, I butchered Susie's name, but we have team coordinator, Susie Susie, what's your last name?
McClevitt.
There you go, awesome. We have SCSL Rose Cruz and VPSL Lindsay Mercer. So ladies, let's get started. Okay, so first question, Susie and Rose, so thank you to both of you, because this really started with the 2 of you thinking, we need to do something because what we're doing right now isn't working. And mother, what is that expression? Necessity is the mother of invention. And this is a sure sign of that. So want to thank you, but you started a Facebook group, and many tuning in have probably checked out your revamped group. But Susie, you said that one of the questions you're often asked is, what is the secret? So what do you say when they ask you that?
Everybody wants to know what's the secret. You guys, there is no secret sauce. There is no one way. There is no formula. If you do it just like this, you're an overnight success, right, girls? It's not, it's the way I do a party isn't gonna be just like the way you do your parties. It's everybody brings their own unique thing to it. And we will talk about some of those things that are really important, but a lot of the things that we think might be important really aren't. And there's no one thing that's gonna make it successful.
Rose and Lindsay, would you agree? I mean, what did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And Susie and I were talking the other night. We always say there's so many things that don't matter when you are doing Facebook parties. Some of the things that we spend hours on that we just rack our brains about don't even matter. But there's just a couple things that do. So there is no secret thing. We can all do them so different and put our unique self into them, and they can be successful.
And
yeah,
okay, Lindsay.
I've been doing online parties for 5 years now, and the way that I do an online party now is so different from how I did them 5 years ago. And it's actually so different from how I did them 5 months ago. And I think while there is no secret key, I think the biggest thing that you can do is be consistently changing things up, being willing to learn and to grow and to put yourself out there as a real person, I think is the biggest thing. And just the way that people would connect with you if they were in a living room with you, that's really important to, translate into the online world however you can. But because you're your own person, you don't need to worry about trying to fit into a mold.
That's a good point. So, so ladies, so how is this similar or different? from a single host Facebook party? Lindsay.
This is different, and the word, I have asked a lot of my hosts for feedback after I'm only in my fourth one of this, and it is literally revolutionizing my sub A, which is powerful. But the one thing that my hosts have said is I feel so much less intimidated when there are other hosts and their guests in the group as well. Over the years, I've actually had hosts come to me and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like nobody is commenting in the party. And I'm like, I don't care. I know that 80% of party attendees are silent observers. That doesn't bother me. But from the host standpoint, she was feeling like her party was a great big F for failure. And I knew that it wasn't. But this for me is a game changer, not just for the customer experience and my experience, but also for the host experience, who's our business partner. So I want her to be having a really positive experience.
And I should stop and mention, now Rose and Susie have been doing these parties for what, a year, ladies?
I've been doing them for 9 months. I think Susie's been doing them for 8.
Okay.
A week behind you, yeah.
And Lindsay, our brave pioneer in Canada, has been, as she said, she's done 4. But what we wanted to do is give you kind of different perspectives. Like if you're just starting out doing this, you can do this and have great success.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been doing it for a while, that's great too. And you might just be on here for a few tips. So Rose, what do you think makes these successful versus a single, host party?
Yeah. I think because of all the interaction, there is so much more commenting. There are so many more people asking questions. So a lot more product questions are being answered. So many more before and afters. And then I think it's really cool to see that it's not only me that thinks the product is so great, but there's actually 10, 20, 30 other people with posting before and afters or posting these things. And it really becomes a very desirable product for people because they're seeing that there's so many other people besides the person that's selling it that actually really loves the product. So that also helps with the algorithms. So many more people are joining the group. They're seeing the group if they're in preview mode. And so that helps obviously the sales big time.
And Susie, I know that you and Rose balance each other. It's always great when you find a partner who's just a little different than you. So what's your take on what makes this successful and different?
Yeah, I think a lot of what Rose is saying, I tend to be a little more analytical. When we were talking before, Rose and Lindsay tend to just jump in. They'll figure it out as they go. And that's why I didn't jump in right away. When Rose and I were kind of talking about this last fall, she was like, let's just put them all in the same group. And I had a lot of those reservations of, it's not going to be very personal. If you put a bunch of hosts in a group, you're not going to know who everyone belongs to in the group. You're going to lose that part of it. So I had a lot more reservations, a lot more like, I got to know how this is all going to work out before I jump in. But I ran 6 parties in 1 week, 6 individual parties. And I said, this is crazy. What am I doing? I just need to try it. So then the next round I tried it and it was amazing. It was so much easier for me, but just like Rose is saying, there was so much more interaction. And then there was momentum too. So if I had 6 parties in a group and one of those parties were a flop, I'm not devastated that I just wasted a whole week or what feels like a whole week of, of my life putting all this into this. Now I've got 5 other successful hosts and I can keep going off of that. So it kind of helps me even just in my mentality of like, yeah, we're going to have flops. There are going to be hosts that don't have a lot of success, but our momentum can keep going. And I think when we talked before, I mentioned it's kind of like riding a bike, and they talked about this at leadership conference. When you're trying to learn something new, if you just do it one time and you fall off your bike, you're never going to learn to ride your bike. But if you keep getting back on and you keep seeing other people riding their bikes, everybody keeps trying, keeps doing it, you do gain a lot more confidence, you gain a lot more momentum. And it's you get that kind of faster because you're trying it out. You're having some failures. I mean, you're going to have failures. You're going to be like, whoa, that was a terrible thing. I don't know, just a mistake I made in the party, or that was not a good post, or I kind of screwed that up in the hostess coaching. But you're learning quicker because you're making those mistakes, but then you have a lot of other positive things happening at the same time. And so just as a consultant, it kind of helps you to keep moving forward. There's a lot of momentum in that, I think.
So I'm seeing a little bit of the chat, and people are asking, where do I find how to do the party? So we will be sharing, and I'll share a little bit of the document that Norwex is putting out, and it's basically a combination of Rose and Susie and Lindsay's ideas and a couple of other people. So we have a version that you will get right after this webinar. And I know some people have asked about your Facebook group, which is it's called a revamped Facebook group. But I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to say this at the end. Please, please, please do not private message these wonderful leaders because they put a lot of time into developing this, Susie and Rose especially, but they're trying to run a business, and they've got a bunch of kids, and they also have a full life. So, and so does Lindsay. So you might think, I just have one question. I'm sure she has time for that one question. But if you're one of 880 people, I'm going to tell you she really doesn't. So let Norwex help you in this. We have developed a guide. We'll have this webinar. We can have more webinars. You can check out the group, but just please, I'm going to ask that now. And like I said, I'll ask it at the end. So next, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, because I think everybody's immediate thought when you're thinking of doing this is, what's my host going to think? Like, what's their perception of this? Okay, ladies, who wants to answer that one?
Do you want to go, Lindsay?
I'll go.
You go.
When I had actually thought about trying something like this, but I was too chicken. So I'm really thankful for Rose, who was the first one to like step off the big scary cliff and be like, it's okay, it's possible. And as soon as I saw other people having success, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Because I think I had been through enough of those dud Facebook parties that I'm like, if there's a way I can make this better for my hosts, I am all over it. It makes so much sense. I understand like online algorithms. It would be better for all of that. However, I did have some people on my team be like, oh, are people just going to feel like you're getting greedy? Like you're lazy and you don't want to do their own party, and you don't like, you're just running us all through like a cattle chute kind of thing. And I was like, I never even considered that. Like, I thought this was just going to be amazing. So when I did that very first party, I very intentionally asked every one of my hosts, like I mentioned earlier, and I just said, this is the first time I've done this format. Please give me your honest experience of what this was like. And all of them were like, I loved it. I don't think my guests would have bought as much if other people hadn't also shared their testimonials. Like you mentioned, Rose, they said it felt less intimidating. It felt more like engaging and entertaining, and like other hosts were helping my guests, and I was doing posts that I really felt made a difference to people. So to me, overall, my hosts had a very positive experience with that, and all of them I think felt like their individual parties were more successful because of it as well.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
the mindset of it. Or are you going to go into something, Rose? Sorry.
No, go ahead. You can go next.
Just the mindset of how we present it to them makes a difference too. And if people ask us questions about it, we can give them some confidence. Yeah, this is great. Because I remember asking Rose, like, this doesn't feel personal. And Rose, you're probably somewhere on some page, gave me the words to say. It's the more interaction. It's fun. And I was like, okay, I think I believe that. So I'll just tell them that. And so that's what I did. And then obviously now I see that it really is true. So Rose is the pioneer of just jumping in, which is great. But we can offer that to our hosts. We get to tell them kind of how to think about this group.
Well, and don't you find just in general, hosts are looking for you to guide them. Like they don't know what to do. They've never had this party before. So if I'm new and I've never done it and I think, oh, there's going to be other hosts. Okay, that's what she said. And she said it's the best way to do it. So, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are the experts.
I've had to tell people too, like, because they'll say, well, how many people should I invite? Like 20, and they're used to the single host kind of parties where you keep it small and intimate because you don't want the group to have 100 people invited and only 5 people in the group. But that was kind of the old way Facebook ran. Facebook is different now. They've added a lot of things. It's changed up a lot. And the more the merrier in the groups. The more the merrier. You have a lot of friends you want in there. It's kind of just a giant learning experience for everybody. So you can invite a lot of people, and so I've told that to my hosts because they've been nervous about that. Like, oh, I don't want too many. Well, no, you have as many as you want because we can fit you all in there. It's a giant room.
Yeah, really. It's not
Yes.
limited seating. Okay,
Yeah.
so next we're going to talk about the 2 key things that all 3 of you said are the secret really to the success of this party. And the first is host coaching and the other is bookings. So let's delve in. So first, host coaching. What's the key, Lindsay?
The key for me in host coaching is to give people really specific instructions. To give people generic direction, or to say, make sure you pop in and out of the group, make sure you comment, like things, tag things. Like, time goes by and hosts don't realize, oh my gosh, it's already Wednesday. I should maybe say something in my party group. So what I love about what these girls set up for their host coaching, which all of us have the freedom to take what they did and tweak it to make it your own. And that's what I did. But I did keep their daily connection. So for me, Rose and Susie came up with some great incentives as far as bookings, which I'm sure that they will share, which I've been using. I'm like, hey, if it's working for them, I'm not reinventing the wheel. So, but giving my hosts, like, I connect with them every day. And I didn't used to do that in my Facebook parties because I'm like, oh, I don't want to like bug my hosts or like make them feel like I'm constantly asking them to do something. But I think that daily connection, and I'm not always asking them to do something inside the group, but I'm sharing the host rewards, or I'm reminding them of this incentive, or I'm saying, how's this going over there? You're building relationship, you're staying connected, you're staying engaged. And your host, don't forget, your hosts are your business partner, and so you do need specific things from them while wanting it to remain a positive experience. So for me, I feel like the host coaching is like the number one key.
So I want to tell you that for those that have been in their Facebook group, in Rose and Susie's Facebook group, they have basically a Google Doc that goes through their host coaching steps. And they're very, very specific. I know, Lindsay, you kind of scaled that back a little. I'm going to tell you that the one that Norwex is providing for you is a hybrid. It's a little bit of both. And it's very simple, but it definitely has those daily connections. Like, every day, here's what you can do, here's what you can do. So Rose and Susie, I know that this is key for both of you as well. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. So we decided that we were going to do the 3 booking incentive. And if you're in Revamp, you probably know what that is. But we decided we were going to use the host because they have more pull than us to get our bookings for us. So let's offer a $50 shopping spree to the host if she gets 3 bookings. When I worked that out, it comes out to about $13 per party. If you're willing to pay $13 per party at the end, after the host have invited and they've held their party, then those 3 hosts, the bookings, then you give the host her $50. And that $13 includes the shipping for sending whatever you're going to send to them with our 35% discount. If you make $112 in those 3 parties collectively, you actually make your money back. So it really ends up being free for those 3 parties. And I wanted to talk about how, and I know we're not talking about recruiting, but just how this particular incentive has really blown up my recruiting too, because when a host has 3 bookings, that gives us so much pull to recruit them. If we're giving them 2 to 3, we can give them 2 or we can give them 3, whatever we decide, it's our choice. to sign up as a consultant because they already have 3 or 2 bookings. So it's been huge for that too. So it's a great incentive. I do want to encourage people. There's some people that have used it, that have tried it, and they try it once or twice and nobody takes them up on their offer. I've been using it for 9 months. There's sometimes that I'll have, 10 hosts and nobody does it. But then sometimes I'll have 5 or 6 hosts that do it. And if you count that up, that's 15, 18 parties that I'm booking because 5 of my however many hosts took me up on it. So it's huge.
Yes.
I completely agree.
Mhm.
And I think because normally hosts will stop at 1. They got a booking and that kind of meets the requirement to get their bundle of goodies from the Star 4 and our host rewards, and a lot of them are happy with that. They don't realize that we want them to ask everybody, or we want to ask everybody. And so I've had even this last round of parties, I had a host, she already had 3, and I gave her last message to send, and it had the booking thing, and she said, do you want me to take that part out? I said, no, you don't know who else will want to book. And she got another booking from there. So that's 4 out of 1, and so we get to help tell them what we want them to do. Like I think one of you said, they don't know what to do. The hosts often don't know what to do. And so we get to tell them. That's the host coaching that's so important. And don't be afraid to ask them if they're doing those things. Lindsay, you talked about that, kind of not being aggressive, but being just you're kind of being confident in what you're doing, right? Because you want to know. When your hosts give you this back, doesn't it just want to make you like bang your head against the wall? Like, tell me and I've actually said to them before, like, does that mean you're doing that? Like, tell me what that means. So I don't know what that means. Give me more. And I think the more that you talk with your hosts, and even if you ask some of those questions, maybe you might know the answer to, but you just want them to give you more words. I'm telling you, that makes a huge difference in the parties. I'm sure you girls can all attest to the parties where your hosts give you this, the sales are this. And when the hosts are in talking to you and asking you questions and saying, how do you want me to do this? Like, they're looking to us to tell them what to do. And those parties almost every single time are way more successful, way more. So it's very important. The host.
And I think one thing I want to add too is don't be discouraged. You have to trust the process, and don't be discouraged if you send your host a message and she doesn't do what you ask her to do. We cannot make our hosts do anything, right? We can only control what we can control. And when we trust the process and we stay consistent, that is when growth will happen. And you will start to recognize the things that are in your control and the things that are out of your control, because too often we make decisions about our own success based on what other people are not doing instead of focusing on what we can do and what we can continue forward. And of course, the number one thing that we can control is our perspective and our attitude. So if we just say, you know what, like Susie and Rose and I were talking earlier today, and we were like, what is the key to success? It is do something instead of nothing, right? So even though you're like, I don't have all the answers, better
Lindsay,
done than
Cutting out.
you're cutting out, Lindsay. Are you driving again?
because you will learn, even if you had. I'm not driving. Sorry, I have so many things to say. The internet can't handle it.
That must be it. They're just blocking you, Lindsay. And you were saying such profound things too.
It's all good. I want people to know that nothing is ever perfect. Just start. Just be willing to grow. Just be willing to trust the process. Focus on what you can control. And the number one thing you can control is your perspective and your attitude.
That's such a good point. And I know that Susie and Rose, you have a saying that people are always, well, what product should I do? Or what should I do here? Or what should I do there? What's the saying, ladies, that you always use?
It doesn't
matter. It doesn't matter. We say it to each other all the time. We're like, should we do this or should we do? It doesn't matter. Just do whatever you want to do.
That's usually the way we end our conversations. Like, wait, should we do that? Oh, no, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, so those questions and you guys, the questions and revamp when you ask us what font and what banner to use, those, they don't matter. And Susan Brock, she came to one of our team meetings, I don't know, was that last fall, Rose?
Long time
And she
ago, yeah.
said, you guys, we have families, we have lives outside of Norwex. Don't take all day trying to pick a specific font. Do the things that are income producing things. And those other things don't matter. If your video plays automatically, I mean, Rose and I went and made a list. Your video plays automatic, how many times you post, when you go live, if you go live, if you're wearing a pink shirt or a green shirt, if you have makeup on or not, if you're, you know, those things don't matter. The products sell themselves. You guys are going to be clear and have some order to what you're doing, but there's so much flexibility in this job, in this business, to do it all kinds of ways. So just pick something and do it.
That's a good point. And I'm going to stop and say, I always feel like one of our jobs, Ashley's and mine, in training is we try to do the heavy lifting. Like we do things that let you do your job and not create banners and not create things. So at the end of this, we're going to share the simplified guide that we've created. I would say start there. I mean, you have an amazing system. It's very, very specific. And I think it's probably, you know, more than what we put together, but you could start with what we have and then grow from there. But don't reinvent the wheel. You know, you really don't need to do that to do this successfully. So quite a few questions have been coming in about the booking. And I know, Rose, you talked about your 3 booking incentive, and they're like, what do you give for that? And how does that work? We actually, we have a checklist, and I'll also share that with you, a visual that we created that has, I think, what all 3 of you offer, but we didn't put what the reward is. That really is up to you. Whatever you want to do. I know that all 3 of you offer a $50 shopping spree incentive, correct?
Yeah.
For 3 bookings. If you're just starting out and you're doing this, first of all, you probably only want to do a couple hosts, not as many as these women do. But, you know, start small. It doesn't have to be that. It can be whatever. But, you know, think about it. Do you ever, in, you know, previous times, ask for 3 bookings? Like, that goes above and beyond, I think, even as a consultant, what you probably were thinking. And yet you're getting that because you're asking for it, but you're asking the host to ask for it, which which goes right back to host coaching, and these are her friends.
Yep.
Okay, so let's see. I had, and Lindsay, did you want to add anything there? I had you, you had something talking about successful parties are really not about content and, you know, what they are about. Oh, I
She's frozen.
lost Lindsay.
She fell off.
Okay, maybe she'll be back. She said she's not driving, so I don't know. Oh, and there she is. Oh, no, she's not.
Well, because I don't want people to feel like, oh, I can't make a video, or, oh no. Am I back? I'm not back. Sorry, guys.
You're sort of
Am I back now? Sorry, I haven't moved. I'm not driving. I am here. Can you hear me clearly enough?
Yeah,
okay,
we can hear you
awesome.
now.
Excellent. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to say this really quick before I cut out again. It is not about content. It is not about your ability to make videos. Do not be discouraged when you put up a post about a booking and nobody comments on it. I see those posts as seeds only. It is not common for people to raise their hand and comment on those posts. You will get your bookings through your host. That is the #1 way to get bookings from an online party. So if people don't comment on your booking posts, don't worry about it. Just use the incentive.
Yep, that's good. and really important. And I think that, again, it's reiterated when you look at the document that you will be getting. And okay, so we talked about two keys: host coaching and booking. Those are kind of, you know, like your pillars that are really going to make a difference for you. But we know that team building is also a result of this. And I think, you know, you briefly covered that, Rose, but how does that bring you volume? And I think that Susie, you had a good point about this.
Go ahead, Rose.
Or Rose.
Oh, weren't you talking about, oh, did I have a good point? I can't remember now.
Okay, well, Rose.
Well, no, Rose, you should talk about how you ask everybody that, because that's what people always ask you. How do you get so many, whatever?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah. And I will say, when I started multi-host partying, I wasn't recruiting as many people as I am right now, because I'm getting the hang of it. I'm getting used to it. And I'm kind of, as I get used to it more and more and I get comfortable with it, I've moved from, okay, focusing on the party and the hosts and the guests to, all right, how am I going to turn all this volume into recruits? And so I've used that 3 booking incentive a lot to get recruits. And then I just ask every host if they want to sign up. And even what Lindsay just said about, like, everybody probably posts maybe a generic or post in their party about, you know, if you want to sign up as a consultant, this is what you get, or, you know, whatever you post in your party, that doesn't get consultants. It's the same thing as bookings. You have to reach out personally to people and you have to ask them. And so that's what I do. And I tailor every message different. It's different for each host. However my relationship with them has gone, or if I know a little bit about them, whatever it is, I take, you know, some of the same body, but then I add something personal to the message to every single host when I ask them if they want to sign up. And I will say, it can get discouraging. I had 10 hard no's last month that I thought were going to be yeses. They all had the 3 bookings. I think I was telling you guys when we were on the last call that I had 17 parties and I got 30 bookings from it. And I thought I was going to get a ton of recruits, and I had 10 hard no's. And that's okay. You just keep asking. We aren't asking anything wrong. It's not wrong to ask. It's good to ask. You're giving them the option to sign up or to not. You're giving them a little bit of information. I don't throw up on them. I just say, hey, is this something you're interested in? And then it's easy to do once you take away the fear of just feeling like, I don't know, what are the fears of asking people? I don't even know what they are anymore because I just ask. What are the fears? What fears do people have?
Maybe salesy, or
Yeah. That they don't know how to do this. They couldn't do what you do. All of those kinds of questions. So I'm excited. Yeah, they're coming up with some of these. You know, you're imposing on them. You know, they wouldn't be as good as you. All those things. Being pushy. You know, but you're not being pushy. You're just asking, like you said. It's asking, and
it's an offer. Yeah, you're just offering.
It's an offer, and you're giving them the choice. You know, you put it in their hands whether they want to say yes or no. So I am so excited because something you all don't even know. And Lindsay, I know you have a document that's similar to this for your team, but we have an FAQ Google Doc that you're also going to get with the multi-host coaching guide. And it is an FAQ for joining Norwex. So you can send that to anybody who's interested. And you know how it is. You have the conversation, and then their husband says, well, what about this? And did you think of this? And, well, what kind of company is this? So this is a document that, you know, kind of puts them at ease, and also anybody else who seems to be chattering in their ear at the moment. Okay, so ladies, one last question. Is there something that you always get you always get over and over that you feel like you just want everybody to know before we open up to questions? Which, thank you, Ashley, for monitoring the chat because it's been chattering away. Is there anything, like, when you think about doing this and all the questions you got over and over, do you feel like we've covered it, or is there anything else?
I didn't get to talk for the one question, and I did have a couple stats, and I think they're helpful because I think there's people on here that are still scared. When I did this, I lost sleep over it. My stomach was in knots, and I thought I was throwing my whole business into the trash. I was like, this is not going to work. I can't believe I'm doing this. I was so scared. And then Susie wouldn't do it with me, so I was even more scared when she was like, no, I'm not doing that. And so I think there's still people that are scared. So I just wanted to share some stats. For 9 months, I've been running these, and I've only done, you guys, 17 parties in 9 months with $100,000 in sales, okay? 17 parties with 151 hosts in those 17 parties. I've had one host tell me she's not used to things like that, but it's okay, but she wasn't used to it. So that was kind of like, it wasn't a positive, but it wasn't a negative. And I've had a couple hosts say, my guests are confused. They don't know whose party it is. 151 hosts, $100,000 in sales over a 9-month period, and 3 hosts have had a semi-negative comment. Nobody has ever said, this was the worst party I've ever been to. It was awful. I can't believe you did that. Nobody. They love it. They say the opposite. They say, oh my gosh, I've had like a few tell me in the last week, I've never had that many sales before. I've never had people so excited about one of my, direct sales parties. I love the way you did that. So I want to encourage you that if you're still scared, to do it scared. Even if you're scared, just still do it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry because I think I asked for stats. I wanted to share all of your stats in the beginning, and I don't know that I saw that coming through. So I'm glad that you shared that. And
those were different stats, but yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad you shared it anyway, because it does. It lets you know, wow, that's what you can get out of doing something like this. And Susie, you also, let's have you kind of sum up how you started and why you started this, because I think that is just a testament to why this is something people may want to do scared.
Absolutely. So when I joined on, it was almost 2 years ago in August. I signed up under Rose. We live about 15 minutes away. Our husbands are football coaches together. I joined for the discount. I joined for fun. I knew I would be sharing about the products anyway. So I was like, oh, I'll just do 2 to 4 parties a month. I had no idea or dream to make any kind of substantial income. I wanted to make sell $1,500 a month so I could get the free catalogs. I want to spend the least amount of money, but have some fun with it. And then about a year into it, that was last fall, Rose and I were both like, the way that we are currently doing our parties, which was to have a party night, to go live, it just wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for her. And that's when we kind of joined up together. But you guys, I sold $15,000 last month. Like, mind blowing. For somebody who wanted 2 to 4 parties, I think I had 17 parties last month. I'm in the middle of running a 14 host party right now, or I just ended that one. I'm about to start at least a 12 host party. I haven't even finished all the bookings, but for me, I am not a red jacket leader. I am not a salesy person. I'm not a business lady. Like, I'm none of those things. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And this was just going to be for fun. Mm-hmm. Here I am about to earn my husband's trip to Cancun for free. It's amazing what kind of switching up the way we were doing it, making it work for me, making it something that I can actually do, and any of you can do it. That's the thing. You don't have to do it the way we're doing it. You get to pick how it works for you. If you want like a live video night, do that. It doesn't work for me, so I got to change it up. And like Lindsay, you were saying, constantly be tweaking it, right? When your different stages of life come, you get to tweak it some more. And Rose and I, we are literally constantly tweaking our party and our host coaching. Like, did you like that? Like, we do that together. We do a lot of that together where we're just messaging. But I'm not a red jacket, and that's okay. So even if you're a new consultant, you can start somewhere. You don't have to have 12 hosts in your group. You probably don't want to start like that. You could pick 2 and start, but you get to make it work for you. So you have to do something. And if you stop at where the fear is, you won't do anything. So you have to get to a point where you say, why not just try it? I mean, we talk about this a lot too, Rose. Like, we can recover from anything. You had a stupid post, you tried something, you put something up that you're like, oh, I didn't like how that worked. Oh, now I have to respond to every single one of those questions. And, you know, you find stuff that you didn't like, but now you know you don't like it. Where before you're just constantly afraid of, well, what if I don't like this? Or what if they, like, you don't know. So you just start trying. And anybody who's willing to work, willing to kind of be afraid to do it scared, you can find success in this. Like, it makes me laugh that I even am here sharing this with you, because 2 years ago, this wasn't even anywhere in my mindset, my thought process, anything. So you can do it. You can just start somewhere doing something, and you can find success. So.
And Susie, one thing that you said when we chatted before too, that I thought was a good point, is don't do 6 of these in a week. Like you had said, you thought, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, like really stack them up, because this does take work. Folks.
Absolutely.
It's not like you're not working doing these. So you have to, I think you do what, two a month? Is that it?
We do 2 a month. We do a week on for our party schedule, and then the next week is closing up parties, getting our hosts inviting and getting them set up for the next week, and then we do the next week. So we just do two parties a month. Yep. That's pretty flexible, you guys.
Yeah. And Lindsay, I know since you always jump off the deep end and then learn how to swim, you basically said, yeah, I decided that I was just going to go all out. And so you have a pretty full calendar this month. So advice?
Yeah. Here's the thing is, my husband and I started a not-for-profit this past year. And so that shifted a lot of my time. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to earn Cancun this year. That's okay. I need to be okay with things looking different year to year, you know, with life seasons. And then Rose and Susie come into my life. I don't even remember how I got keyed into your group. It was like a tidal wave hitting me in the face. And I was like, I'm so overwhelmed, but I can't turn away. And I was like, I'm going to do this too. And here's the thing is like, how do I get my calendar going if I have no parties? You open that little white square with the blue icon that says messenger, and you start like messaging people. So that's what I did. And I got 5 hosts to do it my first go around. And then I had 5 hosts for the next week. And then I had 5 hosts the week after that. And I have been doing one every single week. And I started doing this the second week of April. In April, my personal sales were higher than I've ever had. They were over 12,000 in April from doing 3 events. And then I thought, oh, I just earned my trip to Cancun. I have 8 weeks to earn my husband's trip. Maybe I'll go for it. And I need like 36,000 in sales. Like, it's crazy talk, but it's possible in this type of format. So whether you feel like you're in a hot sweat right now because you are so nervous about trying this, I'm gonna say, like, I am one of those people. I'm gonna jump out of the plane and assemble my parachute in the air. But I do that because I know if I don't, I will have death by overanalysis and perfection in content. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna find hosts, and then I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna show them, because the most important thing is your hosts and getting that momentum going. So that's the first thing to focus on. Then figure out if you go live or not. Then figure out what day you're going to start. Like Susie and Rose said, it actually doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
You're like, well, you know, how do I do a Facebook party?
Oh, Susan.
Party training. And we also,
Susan, your audio is kind of crazy again.
Oh, my audio is?
That's scary.
No, it's the same. Okay, well, okay, you know what? While she's kind of figuring out her audio, we still have a lot of questions about this booking incentive. Can one a lot, and I know y'all explained it twice. Can somebody just quickly give a recap about this booking incentive?
Okay, I will share what I do. I think Susie and Rose both do what you're saying to your host is Norwex is going to give you a bunch of freebies. I personally am going to give you an additional $50 shopping spree on top of whatever you earn from the host program when you have 3 new bookings on your party. Now, for me personally, I put that shopping spree right on top of their host rewards. I don't keep track of whether those parties hold or not, because personally for me, I'm like, that's my job to make that party hold or reschedule. And if that host did the work to get the booking, I'm going to give her $50 free. So I just add that on to her host rewards right at the time. You only pay your cost on that $50 of product. So that $50 shopping spree that she has earned for getting you 3 parties is only costing you $35. So like Rose said, broken into 3, it's like $12.50 a party. And how much do we make on average a party? Like, it's so worth it, but it's such a huge incentive to the host.
Yeah, and Rose and we wait until the 3 parties are held, and the host, really, they contact us because they want their shopping spree. So we're not, we have it written down, but we, for the most part, don't have to contact them. They're messaging us, is my friend's party over yet? And they're claiming their reward that way. But again, you can do it either way, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hopefully that provided clarity. I can keep going with questions unless.
Yeah, Ashley, do you have more questions?
Yeah, we have more questions and your audio is still sounding bad. So let me crank out a few more questions because we're almost at time, you guys. So logistic question. Do you guys ever message your hosts as a group, or do you always message them individually? And I'm under the impression, and y'all confirm this, you're typically messaging them on Facebook Messenger. Is that right? Or do you ever text them or call them? Could y'all share a little bit about that?
That's a good question. Susie and I do it through Messenger, but I just want to say up front that this is a question that I think doesn't matter, but because you can do it any way you want. Some people do it through PB. Some people do it through Messenger. Some people call and help, hostess coach. I don't think it matters really, just as long as you're getting the information out there, what they need to do. But yes, Susie and I do this through Messenger.
I do a combination of both. I start in Messenger, help them through the inviting process in Messenger, and then I do the bookings at the end through Messenger. Everything in between, where it's just a daily check-in, here's the host rewards, hey, could you go on and do a post about your favorite product? Here's the ordering link, ordering is open. All of those in between messages, I send through Project Broadcast. And if you don't know what Project Broadcast is, it is a service that you can pay for. I think it's $10 US a month to have a texting line. So there's a whole Project Broadcast bootcamp on Facebook. You can look for it. But basically, you can set up text messages to automatically send to people every day of the week, if you want to. So that's just one more thing that as you get into coaching more hosts at the same time, using a program like that can help take it off your plate. But if you copy and paste, you can easily do that through Messenger as well.
Awesome.
Ashley,
So
more
big
questions?
takeaway is do what works for you. There's no right or wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Now have you guys found a maximum number of hosts you would suggest? Have you found a limit where you're like, that was borderline too many?
I will say that I just ran a 17 host and I'm getting ready to run a 25.
Wow.
Now, 25 is making me sweat a little bit. But I think whatever you can handle, if I think we can do anything with help. My 17 host party, I had my assistants helping me comment if I needed to on my post 1 that's not product questions or something like that. I think we can do anything with help. I personally think the more the merrier. Didn't have any complaints my last party. My 17 hosts all did really great. And so it's fine. It works.
Awesome.
I
Would-
don't have an assistant.
Yeah, so
So-
you don't do as many. posts.
I just ran 14 this last week, but and I didn't even blink an eye. I was like, oh, I have 14, it's fine, which shows me that my own mindset has changed about it, because 3 months ago, I was like, ooh, 7 to 8, that is my max. And Rose is like, I want 15 a month. And I was like, this lady is crazy. I no way. And now
I think-
14 doesn't,
Yeah.
because I'm learning the system. Now I've already got it all planned out. Now it's plugging stuff in. So, I mean, I'm probably time to get an assistant, but you can do it without an assistant too.
Well, and you can start small too. Am I still sounding
You sound
awful?
good now. Yeah, you do sound good now.
I don't know. I got a new computer. What's up with that?
I don't know. It's not supposed to sound like that.
Okay, I want to share our documents. Ashley, were there any other questions that like just kept coming in?
You know, guys, there's certain questions like, how long do you party for? But I would assume your answer is kind of, you could share how long you party for, but really it's going to be the same as they've been saying, like, do what works best for you. Like, they may party for 5 days. Maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe you need to party in a shorter amount of time. Do you guys do anything special for your multi-host party that you wouldn't do as far as like your posts and scheduling posts from a regular one-person Facebook party, or is it essentially like your same party content for the most part?
It's the
Yep,
same.
Exactly the same.
Yeah,
The same.
Not recreating the wheel. So if
No.
you run
No.
a Facebook party, I would assume you could easily take that template,
Yep.
maybe make a few tweaks or retrofit it and use the same thing to do a multi-host party, right?
Yeah, and the only thing that we found was helpful is to do an explanation to the guests. So we will put a post in there, hey, what's going on? Why are there so many people? Who are all these people? You know, kind of a thing. And just say, hey, it's a multi-host party. It's a lot of fun, a lot of people sharing. Just because we have guests be like, I don't understand what's happening. It's different for the guests. But since we have incorporated that post, I don't get that question anymore. Do you get that, Rose, anymore?
No,
Yeah,
not as
so-
much. Nope.
Yeah, so putting
Okay,
that in there,
so-
I think is helpful.
So I'm going to move on because I have 2 things to share with you all. This is a quick look at what it is before the party. And I know this is different than the one that's in the revamp. This is simpler. So if you're just starting out, here it gives you all the posts. It tells you what to say, why to say it.
And I just put the link to this in the chat. And then Susan also talked about a new FAQ document that we have, and that just went in the chat.
Yeah, and I'll show that to you real quick too. So
And they're both Google Forms, and we'll send you guys the recording of this webinar, and then those 2 links also in a follow-up email. It's going to be automatically an email that's generated from Zoom. So look for something from Zoom, and it'll be in your inbox tomorrow afternoon for anyone that registered.
Right, and then after that, it'll be on the resource. So you can see this has a party host checklist. It references 25 guests, 3 bookings. We did it generic. So then, you know, all boxes checked. I'll send you an amazing free gift. That was from another leader who said she thought that was helpful. During the party, you know, these are going to be your daily posts, okay, or your daily either posts or messages, however you want to do it. So these are examples for each day, something that you have the host do that would give you, give interaction and help her like every day to do something. It's drip, you know, it's not like here's a whole like list of what I want you to do the whole time. And I know you all do it, that way. And so that's a document you'll have. And then let me share the
And then
other
I'm getting
one.
some feedback now, you guys, that the FAQ is requiring access credentials. So sorry, it is literally hot off the press. So we need to go back in there and open it up to everybody. The link will stay the same. So just give me a few minutes after we hop off this to open up access to everyone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we
I don't even know how to do it.
literally
I'll have to
like
figure it
minutes
out.
before this, and let me try to find the link to Okay, here's the FAQs. 1 second. Hopefully, where is it? Oh, here we go. I'm super excited about this. This is so, oops, I just clicked it. There we go. Nope, nope.
You're sharing your screen. We can see it.
Oh, you can?
Mhm.
Okay. I can't seem to scroll on it though. So this is an FAQ document. I don't know why I can't. I think I have too many things open. Does that ever happen to anybody? And so this is an FAQ doc that has all of these questions that somebody might ask or have before deciding to join. And this is a great document that you can just send to them during that conversation that you have at the end where, as Rose says, you just ask everyone. So that's it. Anything else before we, I think we're a couple of minutes over time. But as Ashley said, you can expect these that will come from Zoom after, it will be tomorrow. You get an automatic email from them with these links. They'll also be on the resource. And I just want to say a big thank you to Susie, Rose, and Lindsay for doing this webinar. Hopefully you all have gotten some great information, great insight, and great inspiration to say, I can do this. I maybe didn't think I could before, but you know, as they all said, just jump in, just do it. And ladies, it doesn't matter, right? You know, so don't sweat the small stuff and just give it a try, even if you try it with just a couple of hosts. And see where it will take you. So want to say thank you to everybody who joined. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.